Ladies and gentlemen, this week marks the end of the weekend. And that should be tomorrow if I have been able to get this video up on time, but I thought now is the perfect time for me to show you my entire Weeknd vinyl collection. So I feel like I've got about 8 or 9 here that are really worth showing you guys. So without further ado, I'm on the road to 5,000 subscribers, so please subscribe. And now, let's get into the video and look at the first record, which I'm going to start out with. Probably the best one in this, and that's House of Balloons. So I'm sure everyone who is a Weeknd fan is very familiar with House of Balloons. It's probably one of the Weeknd's most renowned albums, and I'll be completely real with you. For me, right, I am a Weeknd fan. I would completely consider myself a fan of the Weeknd. I absolutely love his albums, but I do want to be fully transparent here. I only got into the Weeknd after about 2020, after Hours dropped. For me, when it comes to discovering new artists, the way I tend to go about it is I listen to one of their albums for quite an extended period of time, and then after that time, I'll then go on to the next one. And for the Weeknd, I don't feel like I've actually dived that deep into his discography, and House of Balloons is one I've only really taken a chance to listen to fully like 2 or 3 times. And this variant of that record, because you can clearly tell it's not exactly the regular cover you get, but thanks to this variant, it was kind of my introduction to House of Balloons, and honestly, probably one of my favorite records I own in terms of like look, because this is a cover designed by someone called Daniel Arsham, and it was released in 2021, and I was waiting a long time for this record as well. I think I was literally waiting, it probably took me over a year to get this one, and it is one of my more expensive records in my collection. I feel like this goes for about, last I checked, £250, but it is just an absolutely beautiful record the way it's just been put together. I really love just going through this one and picking it up and looking through it at times. There is a back of it. However, one of the things that did really like get my appreciation for this is how well this transparent disc is, because for me, when I first got into record collecting, I came across a couple of like transparent ones, and they all just kind of like, they almost felt a bit more like foggy is kind of the way it looks. But when I pull this one out, it's currently in the sleeve, you should see what I mean. But this one literally just comes across like it's glass to me. Like, it doesn't feel like it, but when I look at it, it just looks crystal clear, and I absolutely love it. Like, it's almost a bit like a bubble, but I love how this disc looks. Like, genuinely, one of my favorite transparent discs in my collection is this one with House of Balloons. And I will say I do actually like the design they've kind of done on the sleeve, because it's almost got like the kind of like design, like Louis Vuitton sort of thing going on with like the Weeknd XO logo in there, as well as like, I'm gonna assume that's the artist logo potentially. I might be missing out on my Weeknd lore there, but yeah, really cool House of Balloons. And I wouldn't consider this like my first variant by any means, but I would sort of say it's like the first record that kind of made me go, oh wow, like there can be variations of vinyl that look absolutely incredible. And this was one that kind of made me look at vinyl collecting more as an art. So for that, I have to say this is probably one of my favorite records in my collection, let alone in my Weeknd collection. Okay, so I'm just gonna go based on like how I've got this piled up right now. And the next one is, I think it's my latest Weeknd pickup actually, technically. But basically this is my record store day exclusive Weeknd Live at SoFi Stadium record. And I have to say, this one as well, it gave me a new light on how I listen to certain vinyl. And this one is one that opens Freeway as a gatefold, which then gives you some shots from the SoFi Stadium show, which are honestly some beautiful bits of photography there. And in the middle, just saying live at SoFi Stadium. And there's nothing too crazy about these discs. It's simply just like, this was a record day exclusive vinyl that came out. There's one of the discs. It's basically the same on each side, but you get just live at SoFi on the front of it right there. And if I show you the back side, you also get like an extra photo, and there's back cover too, if you can see off the reflection. But the reason I say this one kind of changed a bit my perspective on vinyl records is one of the things I've always found when it comes to like listening to certain albums or projects more so that's released by some artists is I've never really enjoyed a live album or like a project where it's like recorded live or anything like that in terms of like in front of an audience. I've always kind of felt like it almost like breaks up how an album can come across and doesn't let me enjoy the music as much. But when I listened to this one on record, it completely changed my mind, and it almost made me feel like live records are built for vinyl. And the listening experience I had with this was, it was just like something I really remember vividly. And it was like, I didn't really listen to this one much because at the time when I got this, I was still using my suitcase record player. And at that point in time, I wasn't even really using that one to listen to music because I knew how bad they were. But when I got this piece of kit up here, it really changed my listening experience overall with vinyl, but it really went well when I listened to this live. And one of the things I always find funny about listening to vinyl records is like, you listen to an album, right, and let's say it's like 40 minutes long. When I'm listening, say on Spotify, that 40 minutes feels like it can take a little while, but not in a bad way per se. But when I listen to vinyl, it feels like it just goes like really quick. But when I listened to this one live, it just felt like it flew by and just felt like I could picture myself there. I don't really know how to come across with what I'm trying to say here, but like, if you have listened to a live record on vinyl, I'm sure you know what I'm getting at, but this one was the record that really changed it for me. And on there, it's got like all the hits basically. There are 31 tracks on this, which felt like a lot. However, I'm not fully sure, but I'm fairly certain that that might be like due to just the aspect of when you're performing live. Like I know Eminem does it a lot, where he'll like play a verse and a hook of a song, but not the entire thing, so there might be a bit of that going on here, which is why it feels like there's so many. But there are some great stuff on this record, and I feel super lucky to have got this one from Record Store Day. I want to say this, I can't say it for certain, but this could have been like one of the last ones my local record store had. Shout out to Resolution Records in Bath, by the way. It makes me excited what's going to happen for Record Store Day 2025, which is crazy to say. And don't you fret, because we still have the focus. There we go. And we still have the sticker from Record Store Day to kind of make this one more official. Because why not? Okay, so the next one is Kissland. Again, going back to what I was saying at the start of this video about the albums I haven't really gone back to for the weekend. I have listened to House of Balloons and I really love the vibe of that album. But Kissland is actually one that remains as a record that I have not listened to yet, but I am very familiar with its reputation. So this one, it actually kind of comes in like more of a box that you then slide out the record in, and then you're left with the cover that you usually get, and then there is the back of it. And unfortunately I don't want to say like I've completely ruined this, but like the top of it just like keeps like not going in properly and sort of sticking out. So a little bit of annoyance there, but it's honestly not the end of the world. But when you open it up, you get it like this, and it's got like just a bunch of Japanese sort of styled graphics and whatnot. So there's just a lot going on in this, which is really cool to see and get the aesthetic of it. It like fully puts me in the world just by looking at this. And something I find really interesting, and I'm just gonna like, I might come across a bit arrogant here, but I'm going to assume this is like based on Japan. But what I do find interesting about this record is you usually get the vinyl come out of the side, but on this one they actually come out of the top, which is something I've never seen before except from this record. So if I pull it out, even the inserts are carrying on this theme of the graphics that they got going on. And one of the things I do love, kind of funny that there's a feature with Drake on there, we'll turn that around, but it almost like makes this like newspaper-like feel, or like has a newspaper-ish look to it. And I really like the way they've built in the credits into it as well, so that's really nice to see. And then if I pull out a disc, you can then see the character there, and again on the side there. So yeah, really nice to see, really nice and clean record. Okay, I am going to take like a mini break in between these to kind of go to some Weeknd singles. So first one, you guys should have seen in the Juice WRLD video I did, but we have got ourselves, this is Smile with the Weeknd on the Juice WRLD song, and I do have another version of this which obviously has the Weeknd on it, but I consider this as part of the Weeknd collection, whereas I consider the other single I've got more as the Juice WRLD collection, because this cover obviously has EXO, which is more of a Weeknd thing. And when we look at the disc for it, it has this really translucent yellow, and it's really cool. Yeah, a great song with an absolute legend that is Juice WRLD, and it's really nice to have it on vinyl and to be able to include this as part of the Weeknd collection too. So yeah, there's the front and there's the back, not much there. But then we have my second Weeknd single, which is Popular. This one really clean. I really like the cover of this one as well. It just looks super sick. And I didn't actually get around to watching the show. I don't think I've actually got it on any of the streaming that I pay for, but I was interested in seeing that show the Weeknd did, and I think that's where Popular kind of like came from. But this one does also have one of the girls on it too, and there you can see the back that has some photography going on right there. So that one's quite sick. And the record for it, I don't know what it is. There's something about seeing a black record with the red like middle sticker that just goes hard for absolutely no reason. I absolutely love it. So having that on single too, epic. And that is my Weeknd single collection. Nicely done there. Okay, so now I have 4 more records to show you, and this one, oh, I absolutely love this one. This is probably my favorite Weeknd album, and that is After Hours. Like, this one was my introduction to the Weeknd, and I just fell in love with his music from then. And this is a special edition version of it. So if I open it up, you then get this gatefold that just creepily has the Weeknd just in all these different positions. And this was just an era of the Weeknd just on a different level, in my opinion. Just like, I absolutely love this look from the Weeknd, and it just, yeah, there was something like chaotically magical about this era of the Weeknd that I absolutely love, and I cannot wait to see what the 3rd in the trilogy is going to bring. There, it's just pretty standard sort of track list on the back of it. Obviously Blinding Lights is probably going to be like the standout for everyone, but like honestly for me, I love Snow Child. Scared to Live is a great one. Alone Again was an absolute great opener to set the tone of the album, and then Until I Bleed Out was a great lead into Dawn FM. And yeah, this was a great introduction to the Weeknd and his music. And to show you what makes this one special, because if you got the record itself, you probably recognize this and it looks pretty standard. But what makes this one a little different is what is contained within the sleeve. Now, the bottom bit has unfortunately like come out a little bit. However, let's stop teasing and let's get showing. We have a splatter disc, which just something I am a sucker for when it comes to like discs particularly, and like the color or design that you go for is, I find it very odd sometimes when like, I'm sorry to bring his name up again, but I'm the Eminem guy at this point. So like with Eminem, when he released Death of Slim Shady, on vinyl he did like this crayon color, which was kind of like, I can see where it fits in terms of like linking into the kind of like Slim Shady-esque brand. But when I look at like the cover and the vibe I get from the Death of Slim Shady, it just never really fit in with it. Because the colors on those discs, for reference by the way, they were like 3 different colors on each disc, and it was like a purple, blue and red, which kind of made more sense for the album. But then you got like a yellow, green and blue, and it just kind of felt like it didn't really go with it. But the point I'm trying to get to is that I love it when vinyl records have a disc that is a unique color or design that suits the tone or the cover of the album. And this one fits the tone and theme of the album perfectly, because obviously part of that character that the Weeknd was presenting to us clearly had done something not quite family friendly that may have ended up with some blood getting spilt, and this record perfectly shows that. It's almost like the murder happened on the disc and you're just picking it up and it's just got the blood stained on it. Like, I will say it is, if you carefully look at it, I think on screen it's probably coming across a bit more red, but for me where I am currently, it looks more pink. That's my only critique of it, but it completely works with what it's going for. And like for me, splatter discs can kind of sometimes like not fully work, but this one like perfectly just like spreads across evenly throughout all of the discs, and I'm super appreciative of that. So very lucky with this pickup. Again, another one I'm really happy to have in the collection, which is nicely followed up with Dawn FM, and this is again a variant cover. No, this one doesn't actually tell me which edition this one is. There were technically 4 of these made, so you have like 3 special editions, and then you kind of just have the regular like Weeknd on the cover focus. But then you also have the one with the Weeknd on the cover, and with this one, I just really like the cover of this. Like, it's got a real like, I think, what's the band's name? Like, this is going back to like my prog metal sort of days, and I feel like Rainbow is probably one of them that makes me think of this cover. But I'm also feel like I might be, in my head I've got Rush in my head, and it gives me that kind of vibe. It basically just gives me the 80s kind of like rock band sort of look on this cover that I just really like. And Dawn FM, like obviously if you look at the logo of it, it's going for the 80s very clearly, and that sound is something that's played around with with even After Hours and particularly in Dawn FM, and it's a sound that I've really loved, and it made me really want to like go back to that sort of era to listen to after I listened to these projects. And the artwork as well here just reflects that even more. That was something that really like grabbed my attention with this cover. Now, at first glance, I wouldn't say there's like too much going on in this gatefold when you open it. However, I feel like the more you look at it, the more you see, and the more it just like, the more you can think about it and talk about it. And obviously like the middle of the forehead there, like you can kind of interpret it as like maybe this is like a version of God and that's the light you see when you die. And obviously that's something that this album plays on, particularly like essentially being, I'm not sure if this one is really in limbo. I feel like that's kind of the vibe I might get from it, like you're in limbo, wait, or more than anything, it feels like you're more in the waiting room as you die kind of vibe. That's essentially what Dawn FM feels like to me. And when it comes to the disc on this one, nice, simple black disc. But I've got to say, I am growing a bit more of an appreciation just for these like classic kind of just vinyl discs now, like, or just like having more appreciation for the standard, because honestly at this point, having a fucking variant or like every color in the rainbow just to sell multiple versions of an album, it feels a bit ridiculous at this point. So because of that, I'm growing more of an appreciation for just like the simplicity of what these black albums do. So yeah, it's already got a cool cover with it, so I don't need a different colored disc to go with. And that's probably like my old man ran out of the way for you. But that is Dawn FM. So we are nearly there. This is the penultimate record in my hands right now, and that is the Highlights. This one was actually one I was never going to bother like going out of my way to get, until one day I was in a record store and felt the urge to get it. So the Highlights. So yeah, whilst this wasn't one that I was really fully intending to get, in the end I just thought it was one of those ones where I did sort of look at it as like, it's a good way to enhance my Weeknd collection and just make it a little bit more unique, I guess. And to be fair, I forgot how good the gatefold of this is, so let me show you, because I feel like that goes absolutely hard. Sorry about the reflection, by the way, but that's just how it is. That is actually a gorgeous gatefold. Like, the red on that stands out so well. And that photo of Abel is stunning. So that is a really sick gatefold. And I know there was an edition of this that came with like a sparkling red type disc, but this is just the plain, simple old black record, which is more than fine with me. I do actually quite like the way the text is written out there as well, actually. It's really nice. From a graphic design standpoint anyway, like I used to be like, well, I mean, I tried doing a uni course in graphic design before I dropped out. And I feel like that's something I really like about vinyl records, and it's one of the things that makes me attracted to collecting, because each record I pick up, it feels like a piece of art that has been specifically designed by someone, no matter how simplistic it might be. So when I do see stuff like this and the way it's laid out, it just makes it feel like it satisfies me in my brain. And then on the back there, you get another image of Abel, almost as if this is like a framed picture of him, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's too much to say about the Highlights. Like back in the day, like probably before the year 2008, probably, I would say like artists having like a album where it's got just like all the hits on it, yeah, is good. In this day and age, I don't really feel like there's much of a need to have an album like this, but it's nice to know there's a place where if you just want to listen to all the hits, you can throw this one on and just enjoy every song. And now finally, a record that I feel like everyone in their collection has somewhere. STARBOY. Like, this is probably the standard of the Weeknd. Like, if I was talking about that number 1 and 2 spot, and whilst Dawn FM for me could go in one of those, I think STARBOY might just be the default number 1. Like, you cannot beat the music on this album. It is fun all the way throughout, despite some of the lyrical content on it. But yeah, like, this is a project that if you've not listened to, you have to go and listen to, and I'm sure some of you will be saying that in the comments to me about House of Balloons, Kissland and whatnot, but this was like the first album I went to after listening to After Hours, and again, like, that is a really great gatefold to look in. And also, this is a colored disc. I feel like this might be quite common. I don't know if it's like special or not. I want to say, was this HMV or was it Urban Outfitters? Because I'm aware Urban Outfitters tend to do like special editions of vinyl records sometimes, and I don't know if this is one or isn't one. I feel like I may have got this from HMV, but this does come with a red record, which again, if I pick it up, matches probably more the back very well, especially with the yellow on there too. Like, yeah, if I'm ranking the top 3 of the Weeknd for me personally, it is Starboy, After Hours, and Dawn FM. I love all of that, and I definitely do need to take some time to go back into the older stuff. And as I've got some of them on vinyl, I do need to go and listen to them. So yeah, that's a really cool coloured record, to be fair. Now, whilst for now this is my entire Weeknd collection, I do have some new ones inbound. So firstly, and I spoke about this in last week's video, which you can go and watch right there, but in that video I basically said about how I've got a couple versions of Hurry Up Tomorrow arriving. Off the top of my head, I've definitely got 3. I've got the first pressing, which I'm a little bit ticked off by, because I mean, I'm pretty pissed off with the way they've released all these vinyl records for Hurry Up Tomorrow. It feels like it's kind of taking the piss a little bit. But essentially I've got the first pressing, which isn't the signed one, which is quite annoying. I'm kind of hoping, because that was like one of the first ones you pre-order, maybe they'll like throw it in there, but I kind of doubt that. The second one is the cover with the baby on, which I'm not that big a fan of. And the third is the regular cover, but it comes with an Obi strip, and it has like a silver disc that comes with it. And that one is like 1 out of 500 it will be, so pretty stoked with that one. And I think that's all I've ordered for Hurry Up Tomorrow. We shall see if I was stupid and got any more of them. However, there is one more that I would like to very briefly speak about, because originally this video was supposed to be an unboxing video. Now, I'm sure a few of you are very familiar with the album, which is My Dear Melancholy. Melancholy. Right, why can't I say the word? I deeply apologise for mispronouncing. I am awful at English, which is my native language. I apologise. And just to piss you off more, I like vinyls. But that album, from what I have seen, is very tricky to get your hands on. And I saw there was a restock, and people were going mad about this restock, and I wanted to get it, and it seemed like it had sold out everywhere. Went to HMV, where it basically said it was out of stock, but you can still buy it, so that when it got restocked, they'll send it out to you. So I did that, and then about a week or 2 later, that arrived. However, it didn't arrive here. It arrived to my old place, which is my mum's place, so it's fine. Like, it's not like it's gone to some random stranger's house now that I can't access. And I did have a box here that I had to open to check, because I realized that was from the States, which isn't where My Dear Melancholy, fuck, why am I struggling to say that word? Melancholy, I don't know. It's like my mouth is refusing to say that word. But that album I did order, and I was supposed to make a video tonight on it, because I really wanted to just like make a full video dedicated to that one. And that is a project from the Weeknd that I have listened to, by the way, and I think it's a phenomenal project. That, for an EP especially, but to be that short and be that good says something about how good the Weeknd is. And I was going to make a video on that, but upon opening the box, had changed my mind to make this video instead, obviously. But obviously, the album should be coming out tomorrow, so I'm really looking forward to it. And I kind of want to make a video that was at least related to the Weeknd some way. So, let me know. So please, do go in the comments and let me know which of these records were your favourite for me to show and share with you. And let me know what I'm missing and what you have in your collection, because I would love to hear what you have got. Are you excited about the new Weeknd album? Let me know in the comments too. And anyway guys, I've been Ollie Rodriguez-Stallman, and that was my Weeknd vinyl collection. I'll see you in the next one. Remember to subscribe, because we're on the road to 5,000, and I shall see you hopefully next week. We're on a roll right now. Let's not ruin it. I'll probably just curse myself. Anyway, I'll catch you later.